Namaskar and a very warm welcome to Political Economy with Shweta Punj. Today's episode, I want to begin by quoting a line from a classic book. It could be the best of times, it could be the worst of times. I say that for India at the moment. India at the moment is facing unprecedented uncertainty. We have the US administration trying to bully us into agreeing to open up our sectors that are very, very sensitive. Well, it could be also the best of times because many are calling this as India's 1991 moment. Could this be the time when India pushes through long pending reforms where ease of doing business is concerned? Well, only time will tell. But at the moment, what India is facing is a diplomatic challenge. It's an important superpower like the United States is breathing down our neck, and we are trying to keep the United States pacified and yet follow what is in our best interest. To understand this in greater detail, I am joined by a distinguished Indian diplomat, former foreign secretary, and someone who has closely worked with the United States in his career spanning several decades. We have with us Mr. Shyam Saran. Thank you so much, Mr. Saran, for joining us. I want to begin by asking you, when you look at the diplomatic situation that India finds itself in today, and you look back on your journey, from a diplomatic point of view, how challenging of a situation are we in today? We have tariffs, 50% penalty tariffs kicking in, and honestly it really puts us not only in a diplomatic tough spot, but from an economic point of view as well. It has, it could be a very, very severe situation for our economy if things go the way they have gone until now.
Yeah. So thank you for inviting me to your program. Number one, I wanted to just comment that when you said this is the best of times and the worst of times, and you focused only on India, actually this is the best of times and worst of times for the entire world.
That's right, yes.
So it's not as if we are sort of singular in that respect. But you are quite right that what we are confronting today is unprecedented because if you have 50% tariff on a large number of export goods to the United States, obviously it's almost like a trade embargo.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not.
And the largest market is blocked out for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there is no alternative but to try and see, number one, how can the government in this period of crisis can support the affected industries. Already there should be plans for diversification because yes, the US is a very important trade partner, but it's not the only trade partner.
Sure.
So there are other important markets for us. For example, the European Union, there is the entire East Asia, Southeast Asia market. So I would certainly hope that we begin the process of looking for diversification. Okay. Now, this will not happen overnight, but I think it is important to make a start. The other point I would like to make is that, we are looking at this crisis as something which is unprecedented.
Sure.
Unprecedented in scale and unprecedented because it is something which we have not looked at, had to face for quite a long time. I would just like to remind your viewers that we went through perhaps an even worse economic crisis.
Yes.
Along with a political crisis in 91-92.
And we came out stronger.
So I was at that time in the Prime Minister's office.
Right.
So I had a ringside seat as to what was happening. Believe me, the economic crisis was much worse than what we are confronting today.
That's
because we were nearly bankrupt. You recall that we had to mortgage our gold reserves in order to just survive in a sense. And that was coupled with a major geopolitical crisis. What was that? 1990, if you remember, Cold War ended.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
So the 30-year strategic partnership that we had with the Soviet Union from 1960 to 1990 overnight evaporated because the Soviet Union collapsed. Okay? Secondly, the economic part is not perhaps considered by many people, you would recall that a large part of our exports, take tea for example, or textiles for example, our market was the rupee trading area of the Soviet Union and the East European countries. Now, when 1990 happened, that the Cold War ended, this market also evaporated almost overnight. We had to look for other markets. So, I want to just put this in perspective.
Which is very important, yes.
Is one should not think that somehow or the other, this is something absolutely new in history.
Right.
No. We have faced perhaps even greater challenge before, and we have been able to overcome that transition quite successfully. Okay? So, if we were able to do that, why not, confront the current situation, difficult as it may be. But if you put it in that perspective, I think we are underestimating, the ability of India, not only to overcome this, but as you said, come out even stronger from this.
So, there has been this whole debate about why President Trump is targeting India. What do you think? Is he targeting India?
Yes.
He is targeting
Of course.
India. And why is that?
Who knows why he is targeting? Maybe it is because of the fact that, as you may have seen, every few days he said that he stopped a nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
He said that again.
You have him saying that, I really deserve the Nobel Prize because I have stopped so many wars. Now, he has that kind of a ego, and he feels that maybe India, by not acknowledging what he thinks was a critical role he played in bringing about the ceasefire between India and Pakistan after Operation Sindoor, that is not being properly acknowledged. That is, personal prejudices play a very important role, as you have seen.
That's right.
With respect to.
So, isn't this the irony, Mr. Saran? Because so many Indians in India and in America were supporting President Trump's election, right? And he has a huge fan following, or at least used to, until he started, behaving the way he's been behaving. So somewhere there's a feeling of, feeling very let down, right? Because here we thought that President Trump will be good for India, he's good for business. But at the moment, that's not what it's looking like. And like we've just discussed, that he is targeting India. And he's citing reasons of buying Russian oil to penalize us. But when you look at the data, it shows us that China buys more Russian oil, and it was United States who had asked us to buy Russian oil in the first place. So that reason is not it. Is it only an ego issue for President Trump that he's going after India the way he is?
I am quite convinced that this tariff assault on India has nothing to do with Russia.
Okay.
I mean, if it has something to do with Russia, then why would Alaska have happened?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, this is about India, and I think it's important to understand that this is about India. Because, as you said, there is a bigger buyer of Russian oil. Why are you not ready to take action? Because it is very openly mentioned, but China is a different...
You're almost pandering to China,
right?
But
you are saying they have the ability to hit back at us, therefore we will not act against them. But the Indians are, perhaps a softer touch, and so we can hit at them. It's not only China buying oil from Russia. You have Turkey as well.
Absolutely.
There are several countries in Europe itself who continue to buy not only oil but also gas from Russia.
Right, absolutely.
So it seems as if you are taking a blinkered view, you don't take those into account, and similarly, target India. So this is why I'm saying it has not very much to do anymore with only the trade war. It is more geopolitical in character.
Okay, so we'll come to that. We'll come to the geopolitical character of it. But I want to get your thoughts on the new ambassador that's coming to India, Mr. Sergio Gore. He has Trump's ear, of course. He's a favorite, and which is why he's being sent to India. How do you view that development, and do you think that would help us rebuild our relationship with the US?
Well, that we can only know after he has taken office and see what his mandate is. But two things strike me as rather odd. You see, the diplomatic practice is that when you are appointing an ambassador to another country, you don't announce it before what is called the agreement has been received. That means you propose confidentially to the receiving country that I intend to appoint so and so as ambassador to your country. And it is only when you receive what is known as the agreement, which means I approve, then only the two sides decide to more or less simultaneously announce the appointment.
Interesting.
Okay? So this is the normal diplomatic practice. Now here, as far as I know, this has been announced unilaterally by Trump. And I doubt whether we have gone through the normal diplomatic practice. But then you might say, well, Mr. Trump, does these things quite, sort of without really worrying about what is the practice or what is the norm. But the fact is that this is rather odd that you should completely bypass, the normal diplomatic practice in appointing somebody, announcing his appointment. The second thing which I worry about is the fact that his appointment as ambassador to India has also been paralleled with his appointment as special envoy for Southwest Asia and Central Asia. That means he is sitting in Delhi, but he is also kind of whatever Trump wants him to do with respect to relations with the rest of the countries of South Asia, some of the Central Asian countries. So normally an ambassador to a country, particularly a country as important as India, you are having an ambassador who's in a sense like a part-time ambassador.
Wow, and this is the first time you've had a part-time ambassador?
We have never had a situation like this, where a resident ambassador
also
has, as part and parcel of his appointment as ambassador to India, also has been given additional responsibilities. Now, if you have additional responsibilities, the first question will be, how much time will you devote to the management of bilateral relations with India? Legitimate question to ask. Second is, if you are a special envoy to other countries in this region and Central Asia, which is huge, number of countries you are covering is huge. So you are going to be only spending less time dealing with India bilaterally, which is your main function, and you are looking at other countries. Now, question may arise, are you going to also sitting in Delhi, do shuttle diplomacy between India and Pakistan, or India and Bangladesh, or India and Sri Lanka? Now, that would not be welcome to us. No, I'm not saying that this will happen, but certainly that possibility is there. And therefore, in terms of what this appointment means for India, I think we have to wait and watch, because as I said, what he would actually do after coming to India, you said he will have the ear of the president.
That's how.
What will he be whispering into that ear?
So, Mr. Saran, just the fact that we will have a part-time ambassador, is that a message to us that India is no longer as important a country to us, to them, and they don't need a full-time ambassador to be building or rebuilding relations? So is this a reset button on the India-US relations has been
I don't know. Because one should suspend judgment in a sense until he is, I don't know whether agreement will be given, whether he will actually come here and how soon will he take office. And then once he has taken office, what does he do? Is he really just messaging us from Trump, or is he at least able to get back to Trump and convey our concerns to him? Be a channel through which what India's interests are also being conveyed. We don't know that.
So typically, what would you recommend, in a situation like we find ourselves in today? We have 50% tariffs on India, which is massive, unprecedented. A big market has been blocked out for us. There are millions and millions of exporters and workers in these factories whose livelihoods depend on these exports. What are our options in working with the US side? We heard Mr. Jaishankar say that talks are on. It's not the end. Talks are on. Back channel conversations are on. Where do we go from here, Ambassador Saran?
So it's a good thing if back channel talks are on. We have friends in the United States, including in this administration. We have the Indian diaspora in the United States, also quite influential. So I have no doubt that they are very useful instruments to try and see whether we can bring the relationship back on track. But let us not fool ourselves. The person who takes these decisions is President Trump himself.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And there is a certain kind of a atmosphere that we see having developed within Washington, where even the most senior person in the administration does not wish to say or do anything which he thinks will be against what Mr. Trump himself wants. Okay.
Right.
So even like, for example, a lot of the Republicans have, great suspicion of Putin.
Yeah.
They have not been happy with, his being given a red carpet treatment in Alaska.
Absolutely.
Okay. But because Mr. Trump decided that he wants to do this, do you hear any senior?
Not at all. What do you think happened in Alaska? There's so many stories doing the rounds, looking at the body language of the two leaders. President Trump went in looking a certain way, came out looking a little bit, maybe looking a little bit tired, while Mr. Putin really looked like someone who was steering this whole conversation. How are you reading into that?
Well,
and what does that imply for
wish
India?
I was a fly on the wall
But you have
who could listen to what they were talking about. But I'm judging the outcome from the press conference which was held. And as you see, there were some new novelties which emerged.
Right.
Normally in a visit like this, it's the host who talks first.
That's right.
And then your guest. Here it was rather odd that Putin spoke first and then President Trump spoke.
Yes.
That itself was somewhat unusual. Secondly, Trump spoke for only about 4 or 5 minutes, and you had Putin who spoke for much longer.
Right.
And it was a platform which he used to really put forward the Russian narrative on Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, a very important demand from Trump that I want a ceasefire. And if you recall, before landing in Alaska, he said that my demand is ceasefire, and if the ceasefire is not agreed to by Putin, there will be severe consequences. You ended up the meeting by his saying, no, ceasefire is not important. I agree with President Putin that we should go straight for a peace agreement.
Yes. Yeah.
Secondly, to me, rather ominous for Ukraine is to talk about territorial swaps, which is essentially saying, sorry, you have to make some territorial concessions before this war can end. So it was not. If there was a certain objective that Trump had in having this meeting, thinking that a personal relationship with Trump would deliver a peace agreement, that has not happened. Even so far, it has not happened.
Yes.
So I think, on balance, I would say, whatever evidence we have points to, Putin having
an upper hand.
This round is Putin's round.
Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that this round is Putin's round? From a diplomatic standpoint, Ambassador Saran, where do you think, what are the options that India has? I'll go back to the earlier question I'd asked, because now we are rebuilding our ties with China as well, but then there are problems and there are red flags in that relationship as well. So you look at our immediate neighborhood, it is problematic. We've had, we have Pakistan, we have Bangladesh, then we have the United States. Again, the relationship is not looking very good. So, it's somewhere one gets a sense that is India standing alone, or who should we really reach out to?
As I said, this is not the first time that India has stood alone.
Okay.
Why do we think that this is something completely unprecedented? Let me remind you, Non-Proliferation Treaty, okay? 1969, 1970. Pressure from the United States.
Right.
Pressure from the then Soviet Union that you should sign and ratify the Non-Proliferation Treaty. We were completely alone in saying, sorry, we will not sign this treaty because this goes against our interests. And time and again, India has taken a singular position, because it believed that taking this position is important for safeguarding our interests. So I think we should be a little mindful of that history, and not be so afraid that we will somehow end up being alone on this. Number one, we are not alone.
Sure.
I think we should also take that into account. So being alone on a particular issue on which we have very strong views, and it's important for our national interest, I think as a diplomat, Indian diplomat with 34 years experience, there have been so many occasions where India has stood alone. And
it's perfectly fine.
We are fine.
Yeah.
In fact, that has earned you a degree of credibility and respect internationally. So that's important. Secondly, what do we do? So as I mentioned in the beginning, that yes, there will be pain, but it is pain that compared to what I saw and was witness to in 91, 92, this pain is, to my mind, relatively less than what it was in 91, 92. As I mentioned to you, we were facing bankruptcy.
That's
we were facing the collapse of an assured market in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe.
Yes.
We were able to overcome that. So I have no doubt that there is enough resilience, enough adaptive capability in our economy to be able to overcome this, even though there will be segments of the economy. Like, for example, gems and jewelry, or for example, textiles. There are some of these areas which will be affected, which is why the government needs to be able to extend support to them. And also help in the diversification of market, because there is a large market elsewhere. US is not the only market. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is that you mentioned reforms. Okay, if crisis is the opportunity,
it's the push.
Then maybe this is an opportunity to carry through some of the reforms which have been pending for some time, structural reforms. That would be a plus point. Okay, and then there is a geopolitical aspect, which if you want to talk about, we can talk about.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the geopolitical
So you were
aspect.
mentioning, for example, relations with China.
China, yes.
So it is,
How does
whether
that
there
deal
was a
with
US
China?
factor or not, relations with China for its own reasons is very important.
Okay.
Because China is your neighbor. We occupy the same strategic theater in a sense.
Right.
We are both large Asian countries. And therefore, even if there are strong differences between the two countries, keeping engagement with China going, is very important. To manage the relationship. So even if I feel that the relationship in essence is adversarial, there are many points of confrontation between the two sides, border being in fact one of the most important. But at the same time, there are reasons why the two countries need to work together. It's not only from the Indian side, it is also from the Chinese side. And the recent improvement of relations between India and China predates this crisis with the United States. So we should remember that it's not a knee-jerk response to, if the Americans are going to be pushing us, then I will turn to China. That's not the case.
Okay.
You have had this process of improvement, which started with the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping in Kazan,
Right.
in Russia, and that is likely to hold of their meeting again at Tianjin, where they are going to have the SCO summit. So
Right.
there is a certain continuum
Right.
in the relationship, which may be further promoted, given greater momentum
Right.
because of what has happened.
Sure.
But it's not that this is a kind of a reaction, tit for tat reaction
Got
to that. That is one thing, because as I said, it's important to remember that India-China relations have a significance of their own. Okay. That is one. Second is with regard to neighborhood. Now that's a sore point with me, because I have maintained time and time again that the first order of business for you is to secure your own periphery.
Absolutely.
If you leave doors open, somebody will walk in.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is extremely important that in terms of your foreign policy, the first order of business is your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And what you can do to stabilize the neighborhood, what you can do to become the engine of growth for your neighbors.
Yes.
You are a very large economy.
We can take the lead.
You
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So why are you not doing that? You have said neighborhood first is your strategy. But that strategy needs to be translated into actual action on the ground. Whether it is in terms of connectivity, whether it is in terms of really opening out your market to whatever your neighbors can produce. How much difference will it make to your market? You are a huge growing market.
Right.
Even if they were going to sell to you whatever they produce,
Right.
it will still be a small fraction.
Absolutely.
Isn't
Absolutely.
it?
And
So I think, and here I would say the issue of engagement that I was talking about with respect to China applies to all our neighbors, including Pakistan.
yeah.
So we have to maybe reassess
Our neighborhood policy.
our neighborhood policy. That should be the first order of business. Whether it is in terms of material resources that you deploy, human resources that you deploy. You should have a Ministry of External Affairs which is not only has the right number of people to really deal with the neighborhood, but there should be also a knowledge resource. How much do we know about our neighbors? We think, oh, it's the neighbor, so I know everything. You don't.
We think of them as some
Appendage.
inconsequential.
Yes, they're
yeah,
not an
absolutely.
appendage.
Yes.
So I think we need to shift the focus away a bit from our global role to our subcontinental role, because the realization should come that our ability to play a larger regional role, our ability to play a larger global role is very much dependent upon how successful you have been in securing your neighborhood. Because if you aren't secure, every time you are doing a global projection, it will drag you back.
And also it makes us more vulnerable.
Yes.
China will go and build hundreds
That's
of
why I
bridges.
said,
Yes.
you leave doors open, somebody will walk in.
Right. So, you mentioned Pakistan even, and now with Pakistan, we've seen a steady deterioration that's happened, especially after Pahalgam, and the rhetoric has been very, very negative. Where do we go from here, where India and Pakistan's relations are concerned, and how crucial are they in the new global order that's emerging? Why is it so important for us to? And you mentioned that India could take a lead in becoming a leader in bringing this whole region together, and that's right. I mean, what India needs to probably do is press a reset button in this engagement. So, how do we deal with Pakistan, for instance, right now?
So it's always been difficult to deal with Pakistan.
Yes.
So again, this is not a new challenge.
Yeah.
We have a lot of experience dealing with Pakistan.
But how does one deal with Mr. Bhutto making random statements?
Well, we have dealt with Mr. Bhutto before.
The senior Bhutto,
we
yes.
have dealt with Pervez Musharraf.
Right.
We have dealt with many Pakistani leaders, and I would dare say that not each of those have been very pleasant.
Sure.
But I think there was a realization, and I think there is still a realization, that at the end of the day, unless you are engaged, unless you have a dialogue,
Correct.
how do you even begin the process of trying to relatively normalize the relationship? You know?
Yeah.
So even at the height of the Cold War, at least the Soviet Union and the US were talking to each other. Isn't it? I mean, they had all-round confrontation,
Right.
and yet both considered it important that they should remain engaged. Because conversations that you have also give you an insight as to what the other chap is thinking. Isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
if you don't have any engagement, then how do you know what is the thinking on the other side? You know, how do you adjust your position so that you take that into account? So, yes, I think it is today very difficult to see how we can resume the conversation, because after all, these are still early days after Pahalgam. They are still early days after Operation Sindoor.
Right.
Maybe it will take a little bit of time to get to that point. But I think we should not lose sight of that larger objective. That for India's own interests, you know, for doing what I mentioned, of securing your neighborhood,
Right.
you cannot
Because
keep
India has
Pakistan
more
away.
at stake. India has more at stake.
Yes,
We're a
it
bigger
has.
country. We are a more promising economy. We have more
Yes,
to
why
lose.
do you want to let you bring it down? After
Yeah.
all, Pakistan has practiced this cross-border terrorism against India since the 1980s.
Right.
Agree?
Yes.
Where is Pakistan today? Where is India today?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's not as if, you know, the Pakistanis have been able to pull you down by doing this. You are now what? 10 times the Pakistani economy, or even
There's
even
no
more?
comparison. There's no
You are
comparison.
growing at the rate of 6.65% per annum. You are the fastest growing large economy in the world today. Where is Pakistan? So why do you feel as if, you know, this is a great rival?
So, do you think that India has taken a very, strong arm approach when it comes to its immediate neighborhood? When we also look at Bangladesh, and when we see what's happening in the country, we are, pushing the illegal immigrants out of the country, which is the right thing to do. However, the messaging that goes out is the way it's happening. Maybe it's very overt. It's a bit in your face. So. Maybe India needs to be a little more, diplomatic in the way it's dealing with the neighborhood. You saw that entire backlash against Maldives that happened. Social media was erupting, saying don't plan trips to Maldives. So we are also an emotional country, and we react.
Yes, social media, which is emotional.
Social media, but Ambassador Saran, I mean, it's determining opinions now. It's influencing elections.
I agree, but
So-
you should not let your foreign policy making be influenced by social media. The stakes are very high, and therefore, the whole sort of rationale of diplomacy is careful deliberation, reflection before you react. So Twitter diplomacy may sound very upbeat, but really, I mean, as a diplomat, I would say that is not does not enable good diplomacy.
Okay.
So you need to, while you react quickly, I mean, because that is the kind of behavioral mode that has become standard. But I think at the back of it, never do without the careful deliberation that is required for good diplomacy. That is one. Second is what you mentioned about the how we relate to neighbors. Well, I would say that the record is not so bad recently, because look at how quickly we were able to bounce back, for example, with Sri Lanka.
That's right, yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Why? Because at a time of great crisis, and when Sri Lanka was really
Yes.
on the ropes, which country immediately came with her?
It was us,
It
yes.
was India.
Yeah.
And we are seeing the results of that, because even if you have a JVP government there,
Yes.
your relationship is actually quite good,
Yes.
quite positive.
Yes, absolutely.
Maldives, yes, they started off with India Out campaign. Yet, I think by taking, at least the government level, taking a much more sober view of things and not let this be a tit for tat kind of a situation, we were able to turn the situation around.
Yes.
Enough to enable the president of the country to pay a visit to India and the Prime Minister of India being able to pay a visit there.
To the Maldives.
So I would not say that we have not done a good job in managing the neighborhood. Even with respect to Bangladesh, don't forget that even after this change of government, the Foreign Secretary went as envoy of the government and met the chief advisor and conveyed to him that whatever be the issues between the two countries, we are willing to continue with all the very strong connections that we have built up, whether it is with respect to transit or whether it is with respect to trade or even the movement of people. But it always takes two hands to clap.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So while we should certainly say you are a bigger country and therefore you should be somewhat more forthcoming, granted, but at the same time we should not forget that the other side also needs to
tango.
So it's not always that you have neighbors who are willing to respond positively to what you are trying to do. That is also reality.
So now, how do you see the new power blocks emerging in this new post-Trumpian global era? We have the United States, we have India, we have China, we have Russia. So what are the new power centers that you that you see?
Well, number one.
And where do you see India in that?
Number one, we don't have a global order. We have global disorder.
Global disorder, absolutely.
We do not know where the chips are going to fall once this period of turbulence comes to an end. That's a big question mark. What I see, and this is just a personal perspective, I see that this Trump era is going to severely impact on the credibility of the United States as a global power, on its influence around the world. On balance, this should add to the influence and power of China.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We would hope that Europe, having understood that the American connection is not as solid as they thought it would be.
Right.
Look at the way in which Trump has gone, for them with the tariffs. It is not even very clear whether that agreement which has been reached, whether that is going to be implemented.
Right.
So we have always said our preference is for a more multipolar order.
Okay.
That is not a global order which is dominated by one or two countries.
Okay.
Now, in that we have seen, there could be the United States, of course. There could be Europe. A more united Europe is something which we have supported for a very long time. We would hope that actually under the pressure of current circumstances, the integration of Europe and a coherence of its policies becomes more enhanced.
Okay.
China, whether we like it or not,
will become more powerful.
More powerful, relatively speaking.
Right.
And what happens to the United States is difficult to say, because the longer this happens in terms of uncertainty, in terms of turbulence, the damage to the United States will be
greater,
more difficult to reverse. The US has faced crises before, but it has always been able to bounce back. Question being asked today is, will the US be able to bounce back once Trump is gone? I think there are serious questions being asked even in the US itself, whether or not that recovery is possible. And with respect to India, some people are saying that we should perhaps make more concessions, we should perhaps agree to some of the demands he is making. as far as I understand, we have been in a somewhat like a attrition process. We have made certain concessions. They
Yes.
say, no, not good enough.
Yeah.
Then we make some more concessions and
Right.
they say, not good enough.
Yes.
Now the question is there some bottom line that we are not able to cross? Because the problem with this kind of attrition process is that once concessions have been given, they are very difficult to reverse.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So even if we say, well, just we have to manage for the next 3 years or so, 3.5
But then you
years,
can't take
and
that
even if we have to make concessions right now, another government will come in and these will be reversed. No. When governments manage to extract some concessions from you, they put them in their pocket.
Absolutely.
And next time around, they'll say, okay, this is where we start from.
Right.
So I think that is something that we must keep in mind, that we should not be thinking that because there is a possibility that in 3.5 years, maybe a democratic administration will come in, maybe a more congenial administration will come in, it may be more sympathetic to India. But if you have already made various kinds of concessions, it is not that that particular US administration will say, okay, let's reverse
yes,
that.
Yes, There's no
So
rolling back of
in
anything, yes.
deciding how far you are going to go with respect to concession, this is something that one should keep in mind.
Very important. So where do you see India in this, Ambassador Saran? Like is there a power that India needs to be aligning with? Because at the moment, India is working with Russia as well. India is rebuilding its ties with China. How do you see India's position in this? And the fact that even as we are talking to China, China is still arm twisting us. They are holding back on the rare earth minerals. They're calling back workers, engineers from their factories in India. So it's a bit of a it's a situation that one can't really read clearly, that we are trying to build a good relationship, but yet China is pushing us.
So one important principle in diplomacy is that the fewer options you have and the fewer relationships that you have, your friends will take you for granted and your adversaries will turn the screws more on you. So we should never forget this.
That's valuable advice.
I would say that what we are trying to do in terms of, re-engaging with China, you are right that there are issues on which we have not been able to get satisfaction so far. We should keep trying.
Right.
Maybe the Chinese can also see that here is an opportunity because Indians were so close to the Americans and that did not make us very happy. Perhaps this is an opportunity for us to try and encourage this process of distancing between the two. We should try and see how much we can get in terms of the improvement of the relationship. With Russia, we already have a stable relationship and it's been something which has been extremely useful to us. There is no reason why we should prevent that development from happening merely to make Trump happy when he himself is reaching out to Putin.
Right, absolutely.
So I think the general sort of approach which we have followed, and this goes back to the early years after independence, that India should have a very wide network of relationships. Because there is greater room for maneuver if you have a wider set of relationships. You are not just dependent on one or the other.
Yeah.
Secondly, what is very important to understand is that one of the sources of India's influence in the past was precisely that it was seen as a champion of, seen as a leader of the large constituency of developing countries. Like the non-aligned movement. I mean, we don't talk about non-aligned movement, but essentially what was the non-aligned movement? It was that India was following a policy of not getting entangled in alliances, retaining its room for maneuver, and using its identity as a developing country and the convergent interest it had with this large constituency of developing countries to really raise its profile in the world.
Right.
Maybe in the recent past, we have focused attention much more on the global side, much more in terms of what many people say, seat at the high table.
Right.
And perhaps we have not paid as much attention as we should have to this very valuable constituency which is there. Believe me, even today, most developing countries look to India to see which way is India going. The
That's
orientation of their policy
Yeah.
is sometimes very much influenced by India, even if may not realize it.
But we have a Prime Minister who's travelled extensively, and there's so many countries that had not seen the Indian Prime Minister visit, and Prime Minister Modi has gone to those countries. Our engagement with Africa has, it's the way it is at the moment. It's not been like that for several years in the last few decades. So, but we need to be doing more, is what you're saying.
Not only more, one of the problems we have is that we are far more focused on events, much less on process.
Not engagement.
Yeah.
Not engagement.
So process is as important, more important than the event. The event
Is a
takes its
culmination.
significance
Right.
from where it is in the process.
But we are doing an event, and
So
then
event,
yes.
one visit is over, I'm already thinking about the next visit.
Right. Right.
And we are not really focusing, okay, these were the decisions taken during this visit. This was the outcome of the visit. How do we make sure that the Indian system, delivers on those commitments, delivers on those outcomes?
Got it.
Because, events are important because they give you visibility.
They give you visibility, yes.
Much of the process is not visible.
But that's the
It's
real
very
work.
unglamorous, hard work
The grunt
behind
work.
the scenes.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a more overall weakness, I would say, that we are focused too much on events. And you are right. The Prime Minister, has done very well in terms of visiting
outreach,
countries.
yes.
Or look at how he reached out to the neighboring countries soon after his inauguration as
That's
Prime
right,
Minister.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one
We
can't fault
hosted
him.
the G20, all
Sure.
of that we've done.
We can't
Yeah.
fault him on that.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
But it's
he
still-
has, at his level, certainly done that. But then the system should be able to respond to that. Try to take advantage of the opportunity he has created.
So is it the bureaucracy, Ambassador Saran, that hasn't done
I
it?
would not say, it is the bureaucracy or so and so is not
Sure.
doing. It's the governance system.
Yeah.
The governance system is not only with respect to foreign policy. The governance system is with respect to what is happening inside the country.
Correct.
There are successes,
Yeah.
but I would say you would be capable of much greater success if your governance system was more efficient, better organized than it is today.
Okay, so what advice would you have right now for Indian policymakers, especially diplomats who are working with a very temperamental Trump, who are working with, the Russian administration? If there are three things that you'd like to tell them, what would that be?
Even though our foreign service is rather small in relation to the size of this country and its engagement,
Sure.
external engagement,
Yeah.
you are very fortunate to have a group of people who are highly professional, very well trained, and who know what India's interests are, objectives are. So that's a huge asset. And I don't say it only because I'm a ex-foreign secretary, but I really believe that we have one of the finest foreign services anywhere in the world. So how it is utilized is leadership,
Sure.
which has to decide.
Right.
But I would say the leadership should realize that it has, in fact, as an asset, as an instrument, a highly professional, very dedicated core of people who can really manage India's diplomacy. Second, you mentioned how do we deal with Trump. Again, I would repeat that this particular core of diplomats have had to overcome even worse kind of situations, crisis situations in the past.
But those who were serving in the 90s, I don't think they'll be serving right now. Maybe for a new breed of officers, this is a new...
To think that I was better than the people who are there now is not
No,
really
but
good.
from, from
I would
your
never
vantage,
make that.
No, absolutely not. No. But from your vantage point, what advice would you like
So
to...
that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say, that for giving them the confidence that what you are up against is something that is not the end of the world. You know, that we have number of occasions in the past faced situations maybe as difficult or even more difficult, and we have done it successfully.
Sure.
So there should be enough confidence of the leadership that yes, I have people who can help us overcome this. Third element which I said is it's not only diplomacy. You know, you have to deal with a crisis which has, you know, dimensions far beyond just diplomacy.
Right.
It is not just a foreign policy crisis.
No, it has.
As you mentioned, it's an economic crisis and a very deep economic
crisis.
Deep economic crisis. So while the diplomats can help in trying to smooth the jagged edges and try to create as, you know, a congenial external environment for you to deal with this, reaching out as you are doing to other major powers, you are developing your linkages with the European Union. Let us fast track our free trade agreement with the EU. That will make a big difference. They are, after all, it's the largest market in the world.
Absolutely.
Okay. What can we do with respect to, for example, the developing country constituency? There are some of them are reasonably rich today. I mean, if you take, for example, Brazil, or you take Argentina, or several of the African countries that you mentioned, Southeast Asia, East Asia.
Absolutely.
You know, I would say, look again at RCEP. Look again at, for example, it might sound a very bold, you know, kind of a recommendation. You have the, you know, comprehensive partnership for Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Right.
Why not, you know, think in terms of, okay, maybe I should apply to join. You know, it's a high standard. People will say, oh, it's too high standard. Well, you should be aiming for high standards.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, why should you just go for the barest minimum?
Absolutely. In hindsight, do you think we could have taken a more open approach towards RCEP?
My point of view is, if you're looking around the world, which is the economically most dynamic region of the world?
Our region.
Right?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
East Asia?
East Asia.
Southeast Asia?
Yes.
Okay. Your own region?
Absolutely.
You know,
yes.
We think of our neighbors as very poor countries, but you know, they are also an opportunity for you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, how do you manage your trade relations, investment relations, so that you reconnect much more strongly with the most dynamic economic region of the world? Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, I am not saying don't seek a free trade agreement with the EU.
Right.
Don't seek a,
you know, and that.
Yeah, you seek that agreement, and it's going to be very important for you. I would even say, yes, if it is possible for you to come to some kind of an agreement with the United States, you should. You should try to do that if it's possible, without having to, you know, the red lines that you have, they should not be breached. Because as I mentioned to you, my view is that once those are breached, certain concessions have been made, then those become permanent.
They cannot be
rolled back. You have to be careful about that. So you seek, you know, good trade relations with the US, and if an agreement is possible, so much the better. Certainly try to fast track your free trade agreement with the European Union. They are also more interested in India today than they were before because of the geopolitical situation. Why not reach out to Mercosur? You have been talking to them, Latin America, see whether or not you can fast track that. But most importantly, how do I make certain that I get regional integration with your own region and with Southeast Asia and East Asia? You have excellent relations with Japan.
India could become a leader of this entire bloc.
Well, even if you may not become immediately a leader, these countries have an interest in you. Why? Because as I said, you are the only large economy, emerging economy in the world, which is growing as rapidly as you are.
Right.
Which other large economy is growing at this rate?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Therefore, there is an interest amongst major economic players. You have to be in India.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? So you take advantage of that. But you have to be competitive. You know, to think, oh, because I am a large market, everybody is dying to come in. Don't take that attitude. You are competing with other investment destinations.
Right.
Okay, you are competing with other trade partners. So you have to take that reality into account that, you know, I'm not so important to the rest of the world that I just need to sit down and wait for people to come. They will not come. So you have to be much more forward looking. So, which is why I said that if I'm looking around the world and I see that, you know, the most important expanding region, only region which is still expanding in trade, in investment, in growth rates, is East and Southeast Asia.
Correct, yes.
You have, in a sense, moved to the margin by not joining the RCEP. You are not any important player if you go to any Southeast Asian country. Maybe bilaterally you may have some good relations with Singapore, maybe, or a couple of other countries. But you are not a major factor in their calculations when it comes to trade or when it comes to investment. You have to get to that point where you are seen as a major and a critical player. And that requires hard work.
Right.
You know, it's not something that will happen by itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, this is what, in terms of, you know, what should we be doing? So, there are some things that you need to do immediately to, in fact, shield some of the affected, you know, sectors.
Right.
To make certain that we are able to diversify and start that process of diversification now itself, so that it begins to give you results over a period of time. But more importantly, looking to the future, where do India's economic and commercial interests lie? And this is the region which, since it is the fastest growing, since it is the most proximate to you.
Culturally also similar. There's so many similarities.
There are so many things that...
and where India is actually treated as an equal partner. More than this
they want you to play
approach.
a bigger role. You know, where do you have a situation where countries in the region say, please, you know, we want you to step up to the plate. So, this is something which an opportunity has been there, and we have not really fully leveraged that.
Because our sights have been set on the big markets.
Well, you know, we have been looking at, you know, the US, we have been looking at Europe. Maybe we have thought that, you know,
our
China is such a big
West.
player here and China will flood our market. My answer to that is China is still your largest trade partner.
Correct.
So, despite not joining these...
it's already flooded our market.
Well, maybe not flooded our market, but certainly it is a very important trade partner.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why you are saying maybe we should be adjusting our, our economic and commercial relations with China as well. Don't forget, being part of a trade agreement where China is, may be some disadvantage, but look at the advantage. Because you are dealing today with China bilaterally. Right?
Right.
You know, so if it comes to the trade or economic relationship, you are dealing with them one-to-one.
Absolutely.
Where your leverage is much less than China's is. We have to just accept that.
That's
you know.
right, yes.
If you are part of a trade agreement where China is also a member, you have 15, 20 other countries who actually share your fear of domination by the Chinese. After all, why did many of the important countries in RCEP want you to be there?
Because you're a big player.
Big player.
Yeah.
And you can provide some countervailing presence. But at the same time, they help you deal with the China challenge.
Right.
If you're not part of that, you are dealing with China one by one. Right? If you are in the part of the RCEP, you are dealing with China with 15 other countries. That dynamic has perhaps not dawned on us.
Well, I'm hoping that after this interview, somebody will watch it. And
I certainly hope so.
I hope so too, because it's such an important point, and I hadn't thought of this actually until now. What happens to the bilateral trade agreement with the United States? Will it still happen, Ambassador Saran?
It could because this man is so mercurial. I mean, tomorrow suddenly he may decide that he wants a deal on the terms that we can live with. So nothing is excluded, but everything is uncertain.
But we've already given so much to the US.
That is why I
engagement.
was saying you have made important concessions which you would normally not do.
Yes.
You know, but you should be mindful of the fact that don't take decisions on these trade concessions thinking that this is only for the next 2-3 years.
Take a long-term view.
You should take a longer term point of view because we have found historically that what has been agreed upon with one administration, they become very sticky. Reversing them is very difficult.
So one question, Ambassador Saran, see, now what's happening is that that President Trump is targeting India's poor. Ultimately, who gets impacted are the factory workers who are working in these factories. While we are still engaging with the US, buying their defense equipment, letting the big tech companies come in here, use our data. There's so much that we've allowed Tesla, we've allowed Starlink to come in. So what is it? It's really seeming like it's a very
it is an unequal relationship.
It's an unequal relationship, and we've lost our balance in
No,
this.
I don't think we have lost our balance. I think we have had to recognize that this is a asymmetrical relationship.
And
Obviously,
but have we given too much? Is that
I
something?
don't know how much we have given.
But
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I have a sense that we have made important concessions, but I am not aware of
Sure.
what concessions we have made. But so I can only sound a note of caution with respect to whether or not we should make more concessions in order to get a trade agreement. Okay, because it also appears to me that this is not only about trade. You know, there are other things which have come into the picture. You know, political
Trump's
issues,
ego.
geopolitical issues, President Trump's ego. So we have to also take that into account, that a notion that by making more concessions we are somehow going to turn the tide.
That's not going to happen.
Not necessarily. You know, it could happen, but not necessarily. You can't take
Okay.
that for granted.
Okay.
Yeah. Secondly, I think what is important is what you mentioned about the defense relationship or technology relationship. A reason why I believe that we should allow this to continue apace is because it's in our interest. You know? So as long as we know that this is in our interest and it is so far unaffected by what may be happening at the top level, we should not do anything that somehow adversely
Antagonizes.
impacts that, because that's something important to us. Otherwise, every effort should be made as it is being made through back channels or
Right.
reaching out to our friends. Presumably the Indian diaspora is also being
Actively
mobilized, I don't
involved.
know. So we should utilize all possible channels of influence.
All the Indian CEOs of big tech companies, they need to be tapped into.
Yeah, I hope so, because so far it has not made much difference.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador Saran, and a big thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation. So much insight and so many policy prescriptions in there. We do hope that you found this useful. Do leave us your comments in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back next week with more on India's policies that are shaping India's future. Thanks so much.